All right. So, Dad,
Yes.
can you tell me your name?
Lee Sachs.
And how are you doing at this very moment?
Emotionally, physically, and mentally exhausted,
Yeah.
having lost everything in the fire. When I moved to Pacific Palisades, I thought I was safe
Yeah.
because there are no fires in Pacific Palisades. But this fire was devastating and beyond anybody's control.
Yeah. What are you thinking about that was in the house?
I lost some very irreplaceable artifacts. My father had a prayer shawl, which was over 100 years old.
Oh my God.
His tefillin was over 100 years old. My mother's engagement ring, which was close to 100 years old, just irreplaceable. And what you do is you leave with really the clothes on your back, making sure that my dog was safe. And then we had just some clothes to change into. And by the way, I didn't think the house was going to burn.
I didn't either.
And I thank you for alerting me to the fact that the winds had shifted and that it was time to leave.
Yeah, I was afraid that you weren't going to leave.
Wow. Bree, when was that chat with your dad?
Yeah, that was last night. Obviously we've had multiple conversations before that, but I think the processing is coming in very limited short spurts, and just the idea, after seeing what his street looked like, that he wasn't going to go. And now, the death toll just keeps rising, and a lot of them are older people, and he's 80, and, he would have died. When I was there the next morning, he wouldn't have made it. So having some space and listening to that again is also reaffirms that I'm not on a lot of sleep. Yeah.
From the newsroom of the Washington Post, this is Post Reports. It's Monday, January 13th. I'm Paulina Firozi. I'm an editor here at the Post. I oversee a team that covers weather and the profound ways it can affect people's lives. I am based in D.C. now. I live here, but I grew up in our great city of Los Angeles.
And I'm Brianna Sachs. I work with Paulina on our climate team. I'm a disaster reporter. I'm speaking to you from LA, the great city where I also grew up and I still live. And that was me last night, talking with my dad. His home in the Pacific Palisades community is gone, along with more than 12,000 other structures across Los Angeles that have burned down in the firestorm that has hit almost every corner of the city since last Tuesday. And you will hear a little more from our conversation later on.
Bree and I are sitting in on the show today. Firefighters continue to try to contain multiple fires that are ongoing.
Investigators from a slew of agencies, including federal ones, are here to try and figure out what caused the fires, specifically the two deadly ones. And at the time of recording, I was shocked to hear this number, that at least 24 people have died.
While we've been covering this story for the Post, Bree and I have also been, checking in and chatting with each other and of course with our loved ones, trying to process what has happened to the place we love.
So this conversation feels both impossible and important to have. Probably for both of us, I think cathartic, and I'm nervous to have it, but we are going to be joined by other people who have been sharing with us how they've been coping or not coping from across the city. People have been sending us voice memos all weekend.
My name is Greg Rubin. I grew up in Pacific Palisades till I was 8 years old, and I realized last night that every place where all my earliest memories take place, every single one of those places has burned down.
My name is Alex Bloom. I lost my childhood home in the Eaton Canyon fire.
Hello, my name is Natalie Canute. And I had to evacuate my home on Tuesday, January 7th, as I saw the beautiful mountain from my bedroom window burning orange flames.
Yeah.
Hard to hear. We'll hear a little bit more from these people who have shared their voices and stories. But first, impossible question, Bree.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you, I'm like, if I said I was okay, I'd be a psychopath. But at this moment, you know, comparatively, like, I'm physically okay. I think I feel like numb and raw at the same time. I've just been throwing myself into the work to try and avoid processing what's going on around me.
Yeah.
You know, I do a lot of investigative and accountability work, and it's been so personal to me that I've just kind of been having that be my primary focus. But in between that reporting, I went home, or to my dad's home over the weekend, and when I showed up, I don't even, like, the roof, it's a 2-story house, the entire roof, I realized I was standing on it. I was like calf deep in stuff. So my brother and I are gonna go back, I think today.
Yeah. I didn't grow up in the Palisades, but I went to Palisades Charter High School, it's a high school in the heart of the community we're talking about on the west side of LA here. And it looks like the high school, a lot of it is still remaining, but a lot of it's been devastated.
Palisades, very near and dear to my heart. My orthodontist is there. I grew up going to the yogurt shop, and my friends lived in the Palisades.
It's funny that you mention the yogurt shop and your orthodontist. That is sort of the things people are pointing out. Like, it is the places in the Palisades Village. It is, you know, the Starbucks in that iconic sort of pink building that's burned down. It's the places I became a person, like on sort of these sidewalks and street corners. And for the people who know this area or who know places like it, I think like the yogurt shop is incredibly meaningful. I know so much about this area and Los Angeles and love it so much. It's still in me. One of the first voice memos that we got in the last few days spoke on this from Greg Rubin. You heard his intro earlier. And yeah, I think what he said sort of connected with what we're saying. You know, he told us he lives now on the east side of LA, which is not so far from what's been affected by the fires, but he spent the first part of his childhood in the Palisades and, you know, explained sort of every place that had significance to him, you know, is now gone.
My childhood home, my elementary school, the park, the library, all the businesses I remember as a kid, my friends' homes, pretty much everything is gone. And I've been struggling to allow myself to process that. And I feel guilty because I haven't really lost anything. I know a lot of people who have lost homes, whether in the Palisades or in Altadena. It's a neighborhood where a lot of friends live. I'm super lucky. I think that it's a normal thing, right? Like as you get older, that the places that you remember from your childhood, they disappear, but it's supposed to happen gradually, not all at once. And I feel a sense of commitment to Los Angeles. My family's been here for over 100 years. I want to stay in LA, but I don't know if it makes sense.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
That one got me.
Yeah. I
don't even know how to talk about it. I should know how to, because I do this. I've seen so many disasters. And I know that this happens in places that this never should have happened. Like, we just did this with Helene in North Carolina, like Asheville getting wiped out, you know? Every place that I go to, people say, this place, it should never have happened here. It's so special. There's nothing like it. And I understand, and I empathize with them. And then I get to leave, and then I get to go home to my home. And now it's like, it's so here.
It starts to get a bit existential. And I resonate with the guilt too that Greg mentions, just because I'm so far. There's guilt in that. There's pride in being part of the coverage and telling these stories, but I know you're there, and it's hard to think about you and my old friends and sort of dear colleagues and dear friends who are part of even our coverage now, sort of sitting in my high school parking lot or looking up at the flames and breathing in this air. Coming up after the break, we'll hear about 500 deli sandwiches. A difficult reunion in these devastating circumstances, and as I think we've been talking about, the determination of fellow Angelinos and what that all means.
Yeah, we're hustlers. Yeah. And including my dad, so we'll be right back. As journalists, all journalists, we cover a lot of hard things, and we hear how important it is to process, to acknowledge your grief, to cry. And I'm trying to take my own advice, and it's been helping listening to voices I've never met, but who feel the exact same things that I do. I feel so connected to them. So I want you all to hear more from them.
Alex Bloom is one of the people who sent us a voice memo. She talks of losing her childhood home where she and her mom had moved in about 25 years ago after Alex's father had died.
My mom was still living there, and she lost everything. And we even lost my dad's ashes and all of my baby photos and all of my childhood memories. But what's also very complicated is that I didn't have a good relationship with my mom, so this was the first time I've talked to her since 2020, and it was really bizarre because as she's lost our home, I'm trying to help her rebuild her life and also slowly rebuilding our relationship, which is very hard to navigate. I feel hopeful that she will get housing, and I'm just in awe of the community in Los Angeles really coming together, and just find it really beautiful that people are so willing and able to help, and it just shows that not all is lost in the devastation.
Hi, my name is Danielle Goldblatt. I'm the owner of Holy Smokes Kosher Barbecue, and we are smack dab in the middle of all of the fires. And at one point, we're surrounded on all 4 sides in the valley. And while we were in a concrete jungle, the first thing I did Wednesday was I knew it's a catering business, I had to shift. And while I do takeout for Shabbat and other holidays, we shifted to cooking 500 meals to a Chabad of Pasadena that helped displaced people, and then another 200 for firefighters. Today we're making 500 big deli sandwiches for frontline responders, and then making another 1,000 meals over the course of 2 days for firefighters and displaced families. My own family evacuated, and we have many friends who have lost their homes. I have grown up in fire territory and this area, and I just know that when there's an issue, we need to jump to help. I was raised that you might not be able to be an A+ student, but everybody can be an A+ human being.
This is so good.
Classic Angelino. Danielle is just getting stuff done through it all. We're moving. We're hustling.
Yes.
Nothing stops the eating of good food in our...
The deli sandwiches must go on.
Yeah. One thing we should note, and some of the people that reached out to us, talked about what they're going through as this is happening, is their homes may have not burned down. They may have survived even as the flames, go up around them. But because of that, they can't go home yet, either because evacuations are ongoing or, the fire is not done.
Yeah. And you'll hear that concern from a woman named Natalie Connolly. She's an indigenous Bolivian woman who lives in Altadena. You heard her for a few seconds earlier in the program speaking about the Eaton Canyon, my beloved mountains in the Angeles National Forest. And she left those, seeing the fire burn them down out of her bedroom window last Tuesday.
By some miracle, my house is one of the few still standing in our beloved neighborhood of Altadena, a neighborhood that I love. And I just finished listening to a town hall meeting. They've been having 2 of them a day, but the information is not comforting. All they can tell us is they don't know when we are going to be allowed back home. And I am grateful for my family and friends who have held space and allowed me to grieve. I believe the mountains are telling us to wake up as a society. It's not the things that we have that matter. It's the people, the community.
Another person we heard from is Amaris Gagnon. She is a screenwriter who moved to LA 11 years ago when she was 20 years old. She is safe, she told us, and where she lives, she spent a few days, like so many of the people we know have spent, sort of watching for evacuation alerts, talking to friends, hearing about those who've lost their homes, just sort of sitting in the fear. And before long, she started to think about what it means to live in such a complicated city and, to still love it so deeply.
One thing is for sure is that to survive in Los Angeles and to live here, you must have determination, you must have grit, you must have passion, and you must be fierce and fearless. And one thing is for sure, that the people of Los Angeles, we don't give up. Because we can't afford to. We stick through it, through the flooding, through the earthquakes, through the homelessness, through the rising housing rates, through poverty. Because all of us who live here, all of us who have come here, we all share the same universal thing, which is that we have hope of a better life. And even though I may not have grown up here, after 11 years, I'm a damn Angelino. And I know that through ash, smoke, fire, and flame, we're all going to overcome this. We are all going to come out on top because we have to.
So many people have been saying, I think a lot of people have this perception out who don't live in LA or, California, that LA is just filled with celebrities and rich people and multi-million-dollar homes, but so many people come here with nothing and dreams and live squished into apartments with like 4 or 5 other people, and it's expensive. And, you know, this city drives me crazy. And I've tried to leave like 4 times. And I keep moving back because there's no place like it. And, you know, my dad even grew up very rural, upstate New York, Polish, Jewish immigrants, and he came here in the late 70s and drove here just what he can fit in his car and has never left.
You know, how do you feel at 80, like completely starting over?
That's an interesting question. I've been thinking about that. Here I am, 80 years old. Although I feel good, it takes an emotional toll, losing everything you have in a way. And it takes a physical toll to get up, get your stuff together, and leave the house behind and realize that ostensibly you're homeless. And after living this many decades, to be a homeless person at 80, it's shocking and disruptive emotionally and mentally.
Well, you're not alone. I just want you to know that because we're here.
No, I know. And my family's been wonderful. My friends have been wonderful. And so all you can do is really give support and love to each other and to take care of each other and just hope it doesn't happen again. It's unfortunate that in this state, fires have become a way of being. And if you're fortunate to have avoided them, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose everything you have. But there's always hope. I'm hopeful that life opens up in a new way.
Yeah.
Where there's loss, there's gain.
Yeah.
So I try to be upbeat about that as well.
Well, thanks, Dad. I appreciate this, and I love you. And I'll see you tomorrow.
I just want to let you know, I think you've done a tremendous job of reporting, of going into the crisis zones as you always do, and coming out with incredibly important articles. I think you've done a great job.
Thanks, Dad. It means a lot.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I love you. I see you tomorrow.
Bye.
So that was my dad, the legendary Lee Sachs. So, that's all for Post Reports. Thank you for listening and for caring about what's happening in LA. Today's show was produced by Sabby Robinson with help from Rennie Sверnovsky. It was remixed by Sam Baer.
Editing has been by Monica Campbell and Renita Jablonski. Thank you also to our bosses, Zach Goldfarb and Juliette Albrin, and to Maggie Penman and Allison Michaels. I'm Paulina Firozi.
And I'm Brianna Sachs, and we'll be back tomorrow, as always, with more from the Washington Post.